This is our, well, there we go. Recording has started. So this is our Care Center Town Hall. We just wanted to give it a chance to kind of let our CF families connect with the Care Center. I know they are doing that quite a bit with everything else, but just thought this would be a great place for us to post something. Ideally, we're hoping to have a couple of these, and we're going to share the resource around. So we have our friends over from Northwest Arkansas also on, and we'll kind of share it with a few other folks, and we're happy you guys are here. So with that, I'm going to turn it over. Well, I did want to do one quick slide. I meant to say it. Compass, just wanted to give a quick push for our patient education resource, Compass. If you haven't, this is a free service done by the foundation, and this covers the gamut. It's a confidential thing. They cover everything from insurance questions to just helping out with other needs that your family may have, especially during this time. So, Compass is stocked by social workers. They have extended hours. I think they've shortened it a little bit. They used to go till quite a bit late, but I think they stop at 8 p.m. our time here. But feel free to call them. You can leave a message and they'll get a hold of you. You'll work one-on-one with somebody, and they're there to answer your question. So it's a confidential line that we would love to have. So, and we'll let Ashley. Ashley, we're so glad you're here. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Ashley, we did open it up. So I'm gonna stop sharing mine just so I can let you, because I know you have a special little presentation.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get this pulled up. All right. Looks like that is working. So I'll go ahead and get started. So so my name is Ashley Kilpatrick. For those of you that I don't know, I am the CF dietitian here at Bonheur at our pediatric side of our center. So I'm hoping today just to give you guys just a few tips. I mean, it's probably nothing groundbreaking. A lot of us know how to meal plan. A lot of us know how to go to the grocery store, but these definitely are some unique times, and hopefully I can just bring you guys just a little bit of information to make it a little bit easier. All right. Get this to work. Here we go. All right. So first, I'm just going to go over a few just tips for eating at home. We're definitely eating at home a lot more. I know we do have a lot of opportunities to eat out and order out. Uber Eats is doing a lot of things. DoorDash, they're doing, discounts and stuff like that. And while all of those are great, they can add up, and we're hopefully should be able to stay at home and just eat what we have in our house. So getting creative, all of that. So the first tip I would give you guys is to, before you do any kind of meal planning or going to the grocery store, is create an inventory of what you already have at home. So that's going to be what's in your pantry, your refrigerator, your freezer. Just take a big notepad out or your phone and just create a list of the things that you already have that you can make meals out of. So you'd be surprised what you already have in the back of your cupboard, maybe pushed away some old pasta or some old weird grain you bought thinking you would make and then haven't used it. So definitely, kind of look through your cupboards and see what you have. So the next thing, really try to meal plan for at least 2 weeks at a time. You can stretch this, up to 4 weeks at a time if you get really creative. But 2 weeks is, I would try to do at least that amount of time, so you're not having to get out at least once a week to go to the grocery store, or having someone go to the grocery store for you, or getting food delivered and stuff like that. So I have a couple links here that I'm going to pull up that should hopefully make some of your meal planning a little bit easier. I'm hoping that these pull up correctly using this, so give me just a moment. So this first one is actually called the Omni Calculator, and this is created by a team of dietitians, and I think it's really helpful. So it was actually created kind of for this time. It really could be used for any time you're having to do extended meal planning for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And you just input in how many members are in your household, how many adults, how many children, how long you're planning on staying at home or self-isolating. 14 days is kind of already put in here, but you can put in there as long as you want. And it basically calculates out for you a estimate of how much you need to get of each food item. So fruits and vegetables, perishable items, um, you know, 37 eggs would be their recommendation for 2 weeks for 2 people. So, of course, this might be a little bit different for each person, but it's a general kind of guide to really figure out how much you're going to need. Non-perishable items. And there's also just a little bit of information throughout this website on just kind of how to shop during this time. So definitely check this website out if you're just kind of struggling figuring out how much food you need to buy. Because the other thing too is we really don't want to be overbuying and then food goes to waste, because then that's just money that you're wasting as well if you're having to throw away food. So the other website that is on here is called eatthismuch.com, and I'm actually going to go through that a little bit more later. So I will pin that for now. And then, of course, after you create your meal plan, you're going to create your grocery list based off of your meal plan and what you already have in your house based off of what you need to get at the store as well. Of course, utilize leftovers and pantry staples when meal planning. So if you have some stuff in your freezer or your refrigerator that you can remake into a different meal, definitely try to keep that in mind with your meal planning. Buying whole produce is also a way to save money, and it will keep fresher longer. So instead of getting your pre-cut lettuce or your pre-cut carrots or celery, try to buy it whole, and it'll keep fresh a little bit longer as well. And if you wash your produce before putting it away, it'll also keep it a little bit fresher longer as well. And it saves you a little bit of time once you need to pull it out of the refrigerator and you're ready to eat it. You don't have to take that extra time to kind of wash it as well. Now, potted fresh herbs are also another way to help save a little bit of money. And it's that time of year where you can go ahead and plant them outside or just keep them, at your windowsill. And that's just one less thing that you need to worry about buying at the store. They're going to last a lot longer. And then sometimes they usually will grow back the next year as well. So definitely a good time to kind of invest in that right now. All right, and of course, you're going to want to freeze any meat or leftovers you're not going to cook within a few days of purchasing. And then I did just add this little link in here that I'll send out a big list of links throughout the PowerPoint later so you guys can have quick access to that. But just remember your safe defrosting methods. There's a really good resource on the USDA website, as we're probably freezing a little bit more than usual things. So make sure you're defrosting those safely just to avoid any kind of foodborne illness. And then buying meat in bulk can definitely be a way to help save money. Now you are going to want to make sure you have some good freezer space for that, so you can either freeze it on the front end, or, for example, if you buy a whole chicken, you can go ahead and roast it or cook it and then shred it and freeze it for later use. So that's definitely one way to save a little bit of money in the long run. And then also, if you're already cooking that whole chicken, then go ahead and debone it, and you can use those bones for homemade broth as well. Because broth is kind of one of those things that's a little bit harder to find at the grocery store right now. A lot of people have stocked up on those. So I do have a recipe later that you guys can use to just make broth yourself, and you can freeze that and keep that in the freezer as well. These other links down here, which, like I said, I'll send out, are just a couple other links for kind of navigating the grocery store and making your meal plan and stuff like that. So I will send those out. Okay, so this Eat This Much website, I think, is really helpful. There's a couple different ways you can use it. If you, just need some ideas for some recipes, they have any kind of recipe or diet you can think of. If you just scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can search all kinds of things. And so you specifically can search high calorie meals or high calorie foods if you're just kind of having a little bit of a hard time thinking of what to put together. Now, the other thing that you can use it for, let's see, when you're on the high calorie recipes page, if you're just kind of wanting to browse some recipes, it breaks it down for you and tells you how many calories, carbs, fat, and protein are in each recipe. So it's just kind of a quick guide, a quick glance of kind of some new ideas maybe to add to your plan. Now, the other way you can use this is if you just go to the homepage, just eatthismuch.com. They also have an app that's pretty easy to use. You can put in really kind of what type of diet you're on. You know, if you don't really have any diet restrictions, you would just select this anything diet. They have everything from paleo, vegetarian, vegan, keto, or Mediterranean. What I think it's the most helpful for is if you just put in anything, you can type in kind of your rough calorie goals. For example, 3,000 calories a day, and say you want to try to get that in 4 meals. So it automatically calculates it and kind of generates and pulls a few recipe ideas. And then you can actually regenerate it as many times as you want and kind of refresh and get new ideas that you can kind of play with and find something that you like. So each one you kind of can hover over and it tells you what you need for the recipe, how many calories, fat, protein, carbs, really all the information you would need to know. And it breaks it down. Breakfast, 761 calorie breakfast, which is great. And then lunch, you have another 700 calorie about lunch. This dinner, white nachos, it's about a little over 1,000 calories. And again, it kind of tells you everything that you need in there. And then it has a snack. So it shows you right there that you can get 3,000 calories in just eating 3 meals and 1 snack a day. So that is just a good example of just another tool that's out there. There's a million different meal planning apps and resources out there, but this one I find is helpful because you can, once you create an account, you can actually put in the foods that you have in your pantry, and it'll pull recipes that way. And then it'll also create a grocery list for you for what you need to buy in addition to what you already have in your pantry. So it's kind of a one-stop shop, has everything you need in there. Or if you just need a place to kind of find some new recipes, then this is great for that as well. All right. One of the other really great resources, if y'all haven't heard about it, is chef4cf.com. It has a lot of recipes that are actually submitted by people with CF or by the CF community. So I believe you can see it on my screen here. So again, it kind of breaks it out into options. You can do breakfast, lunch, dinner, desserts, snacks, drinks and smoothies, and you can create a shopping list off of this as well. So again, just kind of another resource that can just kind of help you get some fresh ideas for coming up with some recipes. And then if you come up with a really great recipe yourself or you really want to share it with other CF families, then you can share your recipe on this website as well. All right, so we definitely do have a lot of pantry items people are probably kind of stocking up on or trying to utilize a little bit more. So this is a link to a website that has a lot of recipes using those pantry items, and all of the pantry items that are using these recipes are listed right here. So canned chickpeas, canned black beans, lentils, pasta, canned tomatoes or marinara sauce, rice, canned soups, canned tuna, cornbread, or oats. So all of these things are shelf stable, and we probably all have at least one of these things in our pantry. So I'll send this link out as well to just kind of give you guys a good list of some of these pantry meals that you can definitely make kind of large batches out of these things as well and freeze and save for later. All right, another good resource I wanted to share with you guys is something, it's called this Balanced Budget Cookbook, and this is actually developed by a center down in University of Florida, and it's not just specific to high calorie meals or CF families. This is actually just really a budget cookbook that everyone could probably utilize. using pantry staples. And then it also goes through and uses a lot of the items that are WIC approved foods. So this is a really great resource that I will send out to you guys, and it breaks it down again into breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, desserts, milkshakes, stuff like that. And a lot of them are kid friendly as well. So I know, we've got the kids at home, they're probably getting a little restless and, might not want to eat what you're cooking them, or they're, just having a day. So maybe kind of picking something out of this cookbook that would be a little bit kid friendly, kind of get them involved in the kitchen and help them make the foods themselves as well, could be really helpful. So I will send this out to you guys to check out as well. All right, so this is going to be a pretty long list of just kind of those pantry staple items that I keep talking about. What are those pantry items, and what would I recommend stocking up on if you really need to be kind of self-isolated for a little while longer. So bread. So one of the best things that you can stock up on are definitely some bread items. And these you can easily store in the freezer as well, or just put in the fridge just to last a little bit longer. So, if you buy a loaf of bread and you don't want it to spoil in a couple weeks or a week, then put it in the fridge and it'll last a lot longer. It might be a little bit drier, but if you're just making toast or something, then you can easily put it in the toaster and kind of crisp it up a little bit. So corn tortillas, English muffins, bagels, breads, wraps, and frozen whole wheat waffles. Those are just a few examples. Grains, other grains would be, instant oatmeal. Those are really easy things that you can whip up for breakfast. You can make a lot of things with oats. Quick cooking pasta, frozen brown rice, or just regular brown rice. Couscous, refrigerated pizza crusts are good to keep on hand. That's something that you can whip up pretty quickly. That could be a fun thing for the weekend. Since we're not able to go out to get pizza, just make it yourself. Quinoa or granola or protein bars, all those are going to be options. Now for fruits, you're going to probably want to pick some sturdier fruits, things that are going to last maybe a little bit longer than like some blueberries or some strawberries would. So sturdy fruits would be like apples, citrus fruits. Bananas last for a decent amount of time, and then you can either make a banana bread out of them or put them in the freezer and save for a smoothie. So those are still good options. Other than that, I would probably recommend trying to get some frozen vegetables, canned vegetables, or dried fruits as well. And then anytime you're getting anything canned, just getting it in juice or water, really either one's fine. The juice is going to have more sugar in it though, of course, so keep an eye on that. Vegetables, same thing, kind of try to stock up on your sturdier vegetables, things that are going to last a little bit longer. Celery will last longer in your refrigerator, broccoli, onions, potatoes, all those things can last definitely a decent amount of time, a few weeks. And then also any kind of frozen vegetables. These say plain frozen or plain frozen fruit. So what that means is basically trying to get something that doesn't have too much extra added, like sauces or anything like that. It's going to be better to probably just add those yourself. Whereas if you just get the plain frozen vegetables or fruits, it's just a plain green bean, and then you can add whatever seasoning or sauce to it yourself. And then any kind of dried vegetables will be fine as well. Sauces, of course, stock up on some pasta sauces, Alfredo sauce, salsas, things like that. Soups and broth, canned, frozen, shelf-stable cartons, all those are great. Or making your own, like I mentioned before. 100% juice, get refrigerated, frozen, canned, or boxed. A lot of those things can stay in a can or frozen for quite a long time. Milk, I'd recommend getting, fresh, canned, or shelf stable. So you can get some of the shelf stable cartons of some of like the nut milks or like the packaged chocolate milks or stuff like that. And then you can also get the dry powdered milk as well, is another good option. Eggs, a few options there. You can get fresh eggs, you can get the liquid eggs, or get the egg whites. the liquid egg whites as well. So you can get either one of those. Cheese, all kinds of cheese, sliced, cubed, shredded, crumbled, grated, bunch of options there. Beans, canned beans or dried beans. Dried beans can go a little bit longer where you can keep them in your pantry for a long time. And then when you make them, it'll actually make a bigger batch than the can. So I think the dried beans actually store a little bit better too, because you can keep them kind of in the flat bag instead of the cans can sometimes take up a lot of room if you have a lot of canned goods that you've been stocking up on. Nuts and seeds, you can definitely stock up on those for bagged nuts or nuts in the cans or nut butters as well. So those are going to be great options. They're going to be good, high fat, high protein little things you can snack on as well. Trail mix, stuff like that. All those are going to be good snack options. Chicken or really any kind of meat, frozen or canned. Same with seafood, frozen, or like canned salmon or canned tuna, stuff like that. Again, same with beef. You can get, ground beef you can store in the freezer. Ground beef has been a little bit harder to find in some of the grocery stores, so you can definitely stock up on the pre-frozen patties, and you can definitely heat that up and chop it up to make spaghetti. There's no reason you can't use a beef patty for spaghetti. Just make sure and grind it up a little bit. Same with meatballs. Grab a bag of frozen meatballs that maybe are lightly seasoned, and then you can really use that for any kind of beef recipe that you need. You just have to substitute it a little bit. And then beef jerky is a great option as too. It's going to be high protein. It's going to be high in salt as well, and it'd be a good snack to kind of stock up on. Flavorings, of course, get creative with your flavorings and sauces to kind of keep things interesting. If you're making a lot of rice and beans, you want to, add in some good seasonings, some salsa, some sauces, stuff like that to keep it flavorful. All right. So just a couple tips for grocery shopping that I had. Definitely consider online shopping. That has become a bigger resource over the last few years. Kroger ClickList is a great option. Amazon Prime has their Pantry plus Whole Foods partnership. The only thing with the online shopping is that a lot of times right now these orders are delayed for maybe 1 or 2 weeks. So just plan ahead. Don't wait until you need to go to the grocery store that week. Maybe try to plan ahead a little bit, 1 or 2 weeks. And then I know with the Amazon Pantry and Whole Foods, I believe last I checked, there was a waiting list at some of the locations. So just check with the store, call them if you have any questions. Same with Kroger ClickList. Call ahead, make sure they have your order. I know some people have had some orders lost with Kroger, so just calling ahead, making sure they have it and keeping tabs on it. And then if you have someone that can go to the store for you, of course, then that's a great option. So you can just avoid it altogether, give them your list and have them go for you. And that can be a great option as well. Again, another tip, just checking with wherever you're doing your grocery shopping, checking for adjusted store hours. It seems like these are changing all the time, so I would recommend just checking with your store. Call the night before, ask when they're getting their next shipment of milk or beef or toilet paper or whatever it is that you need, and check and see when they're going to have that in. And then a lot of times the first hour that the store's open, they're opening for immunocompromised or the elderly. So again, just kind of checking with what the store's policy is. Now, of course, practice good hygiene and wear a mask when indicated. That's definitely recommended at the grocery store right now. And a lot of the grocery stores are doing a good job of, wiping down the carts and everything, but I would still highly encourage bringing your own hand sanitizer with you to the grocery store because, people are stocking stuff on the shelves and everything. So just keep that in mind. Another recommendation, like I said earlier, is not to overbuy or overstock your pantry where it's something that, one, you don't like to eat it because then you're probably not going to eat it and then it's going to go to waste, or it's something that you just can't get to in time. Maybe you've got other food you need to eat up first that you already had in your freezer. So you might buy some fresh produce you plan on eating, and then it goes bad, and then it's just kind of a waste. And then it prevents others from getting some of the essentials as well. So stick to your list, make a good list and stick to it, and try not to overbuy. And that will help you save some money in the long run as well. And then we do have our CF food pantry up and running here at Bonheur. So definitely contact us if you just need a bag of groceries, and we definitely have a good variety of some shelf-stable items, and we can certainly help you get whatever you need. So please feel free to call me or Nikisha, our social worker, or really any of us on our care team, and we can just try to find a way to get you what you need. And then I wanted to make a note just about infant formula. And again, this is really for everyone right now. Some people have had a hard time finding maybe the specific brand of infant formula that their child is on. So some stores have started to limit, people only buying 1 can at a time, just to make sure people aren't overbuying and overstocking. And then some stores are maybe keeping it behind the pharmacy, or they're keeping it behind the counter at customer service. So again, I would just call the store first just to see if they have it in stock, and if not, if they know when it's going to come in stock. If you get your formula from WIC, a lot of these WIC offices are doing curbside pickup. So you'll want to call ahead of time, make sure they know what specific formula they need, and they can hopefully be able to provide it for you. And then if all else fails and you really still can't find it, just, again, call me or call one of us, and we can, try to find a way to get you that formula one way or another. And then if that formula is still not available, then we can, find a substitute that would work as well. All right, now this next slide goes through some different substitutes for specific ingredients. This is not a complete exhaustive list. I mean, you can get really creative in the kitchen, but these are definitely just some ideas, and I'll give you guys some links too on just some other places to find some of these options. So milk is probably one of the biggest things and it is one of the hardest things that tends to sell out pretty quickly at the store. Other thing with milk too, it is pretty perishable. So, it doesn't last that long in the refrigerator. So a couple options, if you can find dry milk, is to use dry powdered milk. You just use 1/4 of a cup to 1 cup of water, and there you go. You have a cup of milk. Now to add a little bit more fat to that, to make it more of a whole milk, you can add just a little bit of butter to it. Just get it nice and creamy. You might have to shake it up a little bit as that oil tries to separate, but that's just definitely an option. Now evaporated milk is also an option. You just mix 2/3 of a cup of evaporated milk plus 1/3 a cup of water, and then you have a cup of milk. Now some other just substitutes, if you're not able to find dry milk or evaporated milk, because a lot of people have bought those out from the store as well, is finding one of the non-dairy milk substitutes. So soy milk is going to be a little easier to find. I've noticed that a lot of the nut milks and soy milks are on the shelf. They do sometimes cost a little bit more, but they tend to last longer in the refrigerator. Their expiration date is usually at least a week or longer than regular milk. And then soy milk is going to be a little bit higher in protein than some of your other nut milk. So it is going to be more of a complete protein. Now, with that being said, a lot of the nut milks now, because they have become a lot more popular, like almond milk, coconut milk, and rice milk, they have started adding some protein to some of these milks and adding extra calcium and stuff like that. So then it really is more of a true substitute for whole cow's milk. So I would just recommend reading the labels carefully, make sure you know exactly what you're getting, and make sure to try to find the highest fat and highest protein option that they have on the shelf. Now with baking, it becomes a little bit easier to substitute milk because you're not trying to sit down and drink a glass of milk, and you're really just needing it more for the consistency and the liquid. So a lot of times you can substitute a cup of milk with a cup of water or juice or any of the other nut milks. If you're making pasta, like mac and cheese, for example, I ran into this the other day. We didn't have any milk and I was making mac and cheese, and You can substitute a little bit of the pasta water after you're boiling the noodles, just add in a couple tablespoons of that instead of the milk, maybe add a little bit more butter, and it gives you the same consistency. So really, for some of these recipes, you just need the milk or something to kind of thicken it up a little bit. So you can definitely use the pasta water for some of that as well. All right. And half and half. This is something that, of course, we like to add to our coffee. You can add into recipes. You can add it to foods to add a little extra calories. So if you're not able to find half and half, you can add 1.5 tablespoons of butter plus enough milk to equal 1 cup. And then you have a cup of half and half. Another good substitute for half and half that I didn't put on here if you're trying to add it to coffee or baking is the full fat coconut cream. So that comes in the can, and it's really thick. So it really is a good substitute to put into coffee or for baking. So it almost has more of a consistency of like a melted butter. So definitely a good thing to add some really good calories and some fat as well. It doesn't have much protein in it, but it's definitely pretty high fat and tastes really good in my opinion, if you like coconut. Okay, so eggs. These can be a little bit tricky. Now, these substitutes aren't going to be a substitute for making scrambled eggs. These are going to be more for baking. So keep that in mind. If you are struggling to find eggs in the carton, they do make, like the liquid egg whites. Those are a little bit easier to find on the shelf. Or again, just call in the store and see when they're going to get their next shipment in. And you can get those eggs hopefully early. So for baking though, you can use ground flax seeds plus water, and you let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then it kind of comes up with a little sticky consistency, and you can substitute that for eggs in baking. Another thing you can do is adding like 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise for 1 egg. And you can also do a mashed banana and a little bit of baking powder to substitute for 1 egg as well. So definitely use those if you need some eggs for baking and if you don't have any on hand. All right, now yeast. If you are at home and wanted to make some bread, if you're not able to find it at the store or any other recipe that calls for yeast, you can use a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and a 1/2 teaspoon of lemon juice for 1 teaspoon of active dry yeast. I have not tried this one personally, but I would love to do some experimenting. Maybe I will do some this week to see kind of the comparison of how it would come out using regular yeast compared to this method. But yeast can be a little bit hard to find right now because a lot of people are staying at home and making a lot of baked goods, which is great, but it's harder to find some of these products. So give that a try. Butter is another thing that may be a little bit harder to find, but for any kind of baking or for a lot of recipes, you can just substitute vegetable oil or if you have vegetable shortening on hand. So either one of those would be good. Coconut oil is a pretty good option too because it does harden at room temperature. So it kind of will have kind of the same consistency as like a vegetable shortening would. So that's a good option. Oil, if you don't have any vegetable oil, and again, if you're making some baked goods, you can substitute equal amounts of oil to applesauce. So it gives it still that kind of moist consistency that the oil would. All right, so mayo and sour cream, for the most part, you can substitute plain yogurt or plain Greek yogurt for either of these. Greek yogurt is going to be a little bit higher in protein, and especially if you use the full fat Greek yogurt, it's going to be a little bit higher in fat as well. So you could definitely substitute plain Greek yogurt for sour cream on some tacos, and your kids or your family would probably never know the difference. So don't tell them, do a little experiment and see if they notice because it tastes almost the exact same. Try that. Now tomato sauce, you can get a little creative with that. If you're not able to find canned tomato sauce, but you can find tomatoes, then you can definitely just, boil up some of your tomatoes that way and create the tomato sauce yourself. Or if you have tomato paste, then you can just add a little bit of water to that and create your tomato sauce from there. Broth, there's a couple things you can do. Like I said, you can certainly make your own. If you have access to some of the bouillon cubes, you can use 1 cube to 1 cup of boiling water. Or you can do sometimes you can just substitute plain water for some of your soup recipes as well. You might want to add just a little bit of extra salt, but really just 1 cup of broth to 1 cup of water can give you the same consistency if you're making a soup or something like that. All right, and here are just a few of the links to some of the resources for some of these substitutions. Food Network is a great option, America's Test Kitchen, allrecipes.com. Really, a lot of these recipe websites are going to have good substitutions if you don't have something on hand. All right, and sometimes we don't know what we're doing in the kitchen, or we feel like we don't know what we're doing in the kitchen. So remember to get creative. You know, this is a good time to kind of make something maybe you wouldn't typically make. Use up some weird condiments maybe you have in your refrigerator and make something up different, and just get creative with it. And if it doesn't come out perfect, then that's okay. And here's just a quick little guide to some of those baking substitutions. So, you know, baking powder, sometimes you can substitute with doing baking soda or cream of tartar. Now, cream of tartar isn't something that everyone always has on hand, so you can make cream of tartar with a little bit of vinegar or lemon juice. So if you don't have baking powder, you can use baking soda and some vinegar or lemon juice. So this is just a quick little guide that is nice to keep on hand. Okay, the homemade broth, I'll just leave this link here that you guys can go visit, but really what this recipe goes through is using up some of the scraps that you have in your kitchen already. So instead of throwing away the, you know, peels of carrots or potatoes or, you know, the end of a bell pepper or something like that, go ahead and save all of those, and you can put them in a baggie and keep them in your fridge if it's not going to be too long, or you can store them in your freezer and keep them on hand so you can make some chicken stock or some vegetable stock. So all those items, you can still get a lot of good vitamins and nutrients out of the scraps that otherwise you would just throw away. So definitely hold on to those. And then with any kind of chicken bones or any kind of chicken that you're making, hold on to the bones and put them in the freezer. And then you can use this recipe to make your own chicken stock. And it makes quite a bit. You can make a couple batches and easily get, you know, 12 cups of broth that you can just keep in your refrigerator or your freezer and just keep it on hand for whenever you actually need it. So definitely keep that in mind. And again, I'll send that link out with the other links. All right, perishable items. So you can freeze just about anything. I think probably the struggle for most people is having enough freezer space. So, you know, remember to eat those things that are in your freezer. So, you know, now would be a good time to go through your freezer and kind of inventory things before you go to the grocery store. Maybe pull some things out that you're going to plan on using for that next week or two. And then any kind of leftovers or things that you buy in bulk, you can then have room to put in your freezer. So you can freeze anything from cheese, milk, eggs, meat, bread, any kind of leftovers, fruits and vegetables, broth, soup, stews, and tomato sauces, really any kind of sauces. So again, with anything that you freeze, just make sure that you're defrosting it appropriately. So again, I'll put a link to the USDA website, just that gives some guidelines on de-thawing some things. One idea that I had for the eggs that can be really helpful is if you have an empty ice cube tray, then you can break one egg into each little container and kind of pre-mix it together, and then it equals out to be about 1 egg. So you could put it all, you know, break open 6 eggs and put it in one container, or you could do it individually so you don't have to, you know, make it all at once. So that's definitely an option. All right, so adding extra calories to food. So, you know, of course, we do definitely want to make sure we're still getting in the calories that we need throughout the day. So this is just a good list of things that you can add to foods you're already eating to add some extra calories. So, anything from peanut butter, cheese, eggs, dry powdered milk I was talking about earlier. You don't have to use it just to add to your milk or water to create milk, but you can add it to other recipes to add extra calories as well. Same with evaporated whole milk, vegetable oil, butter, all of these items, and it kind of breaks it down and tells you how many calories are going to be in that amount of each item. Those are all good ideas. And like I have over here to the side too, the Carnation Breakfast Essentials. That's a great thing that you can drink as a shake itself, or you can add it to other things to create a higher calorie meal. So that recipe in the corner there, actually, I believe is a Carnation Breakfast Essentials mixed with some sweet potatoes and a little bit of maple syrup and some granola. And it kind of makes this like a breakfast sweet potato bowl. So I think it tastes pretty good. I might try it myself, but definitely an option for some things that you could probably already have on hand at home. All right, so nutritional supplements. So if you have any difficulty finding a nutritional supplement, or you've run out, or maybe your order is delayed or something like that, first of all, if you have trouble getting it covered by insurance or anything like that, definitely call me. I'm happy to help and figure out what's going on, whether your insurance isn't covering it, or maybe the pharmacy is running low. And so we can certainly find ways to get you whatever you need. But if you're in a bind and you need to make some substitutions, there's definitely some options. Like I said, the Carnation Breakfast Essentials is pretty affordable. It's easy to find at the grocery store. It's not always where you might expect it to be. It's actually, they keep it sometimes with like the breakfast bars in that kind of area. So it's not over by the pharmacy where they usually keep the rest of the Pediasure and Ensure and stuff like that. So it's going to be more on the aisle with the breakfast items, and you can get it pre-mixed, or you can get it in a powder package as well. And you can mix it with whole milk, or you can mix it with ice cream. So another great substitute for whole milk, if you can't find it, is some ice cream. So you can certainly do ice cream to eat as a snack, or eat as a dessert, or mix it in with your protein shake or your powder. Bizkids Essentials is another just really great brand. It's basically the Nestle alternative to Pediasure. So if you're not able to find that, then Bizkids Essentials might be a little bit easier to find. And of course, use the store brand alternatives as well. Walmart has their Equate brand, which is a perfect substitute for any of the nutritional supplements. So Ensure, they have one for an Equate version of that. Kroger has their own, Walgreens. Really, most stores are going to have a good substitute for some of these items, and they're perfectly fine to substitute. Again, I would just always check the label and make sure that it's going to have all the calories and the protein that you need. Now, a couple ideas on just how to make your own. Now, I have a whole list of recipes on kind of how to make your own Pediasure, but these are just a couple I grabbed. So fortified milk. Again, if you already have your whole milk and your dry milk on hand, you can just mix the two together and it creates a higher calorie milk. You can also add heavy cream or half and half to whole milk as well, and it's going to create a higher calorie, high fat milk. And then you can use that in anything, whether you're using it for baking or as the base to shake or anything like that. So you can certainly use that. Now, chocolate peanut butter shake. This is a recipe that doesn't include technically any milk, but it does call for heavy whipping cream, peanut butter, chocolate syrup, and chocolate ice cream. So that would be a great substitute as well. And then a protein shake. There's a million different ways you can make a protein shake or smoothie. This is just a very simple example, doing 1 scoop of really any kind of protein powder, about a half a cup of a full fat yogurt. Could be Greek yogurt, could be flavored, could be plain, really whatever your preference is. And then a half cup of water or juice just to give it a good smooth consistency. And then either a half cup of fruit if you want to go more the fruity route, or you can do peanut butter or chocolate syrup to kind of make it more of that chocolate peanut butter. Add some ice if you want to make it a little bit colder and slushy, and then just mix in your blender. So really all of these are just some simple examples. Like I said, there really are a lot of options out there. And if you need any other ideas or examples, just let me know, and I've got a big list I can send you. All right. The other thing as far as grants go and just for financial assistance, the Healthwell Foundation has some really great resources. And if you're not already plugged into the Healthwell Foundation, you can still be eligible for this if you've been affected by COVID-19 and have maybe just some expenses that maybe they will be able to help with. So the maximum award level is $250, and it can go towards any of these items listed here. So it can be delivered food, COVID-19 related, delivered meds, diagnostics, telehealth, or transportation costs. It is by phone application only, and it's just this number here, and they just do a couple of screening questions just to see how you've been affected and if you're eligible for the grant money. So that can definitely be a really good resource. And then if you're not already plugged into the Healthwell Foundation and you're eligible based off of your income and how many people are in the home, they're a really great resource for nutritional supplements and vitamins and some certain medications as well. So check out either of these links if you just want some more information, the COVID-19 fund, or what is covered under the Cystic Fibrosis Fund. So take a look at both of those links. All right, and then the next one, I just wanted to plug this because I recently got this information. It is time to apply for the AbbVie scholarship. If you have a student who is close to college level or in college, or if you yourself are in college, and basically each year they select 40 students to receive $3,000 each year. And the submission deadline is by May 24th, so you definitely still have a little bit of time. And then each year they do select 2 out of the 40 to receive an additional $22,000. So definitely can be worth it. And the application, I believe, isn't too difficult. So definitely check that out or share with anyone that might be eligible or interested. So it's just AbbVieCFscholarship.com. All right, and then my last thing, I guess my questions to y'all would be, how can we help you guys as a CF Center, and how can we be of support? And of course the chapter as well, how can they be of support right now? What resources do you guys need? And definitely please reach out and ask us questions or let us know whatever you need. I do have my email and this is my desk number as well that I have access to. So feel free to shoot me an email if you have any additional questions. And that is all I have. Are there any questions?
Ashley, that was great information.
Good. Hopefully it'll give just a little bit of help, maybe navigate the grocery store a little bit.
No, I mean, that was really good. And it covered the gamut. We had a few questions in regards to substitutes and a few other things. And really, the only question I got, and mom had texted me and asked me if you had any suggestions for what to wash your fruit with, if you should do like a spray or if it's just water or what. So
yeah, no, that's a really good question. So there are a lot of like fruit and vegetable washes out there. Really, for the most part, it's recommended just to use water. Now, a lot of those, things they're trying to wash off dirt, from the grocery store, or trying to sterilize your fruits and vegetables, stuff like that. You don't need to use dish soap or anything like that. Really, water is going to be your best bet. Now there are some recipes out there, I believe, it's like a baking soda and like a lemon juice that can help kind of take off some of the wax of some of like your apples and stuff like that. But that would be all I would recommend. You don't really need to definitely don't be spraying bleach or anything like that on your fruits and vegetables. Wash, and then anytime you can peel a fruit or vegetable, you can certainly do that too, just to kind of really get an extra coating off if you feel like you need to.
great.
That's a great question.
And I don't see anything else, but I really felt like this was great information. We will share the recording and we'll actually take some of your links and make sure we send those too and post them on our Facebook site as well. Um, and just a plug that AbbVie scholarship, we actually had, I think, 2 kids from this area win that last year.
We
So,
did.
so representing. So,
Absolutely.
you know, I love that you guys said that. We're certainly here to help too, but really, we did that. So, thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Well, and if anybody else has any questions, Ashley has her information there, but we'll also post some links and then let us know what y'all need. The only thing we had to wrap it up was just a quick reminder that we did end up moving our Great Strides Walk. We are scheduled for August 30th, a Sunday afternoon. It's going to be warm, but we'll make sure we have plenty of water and we'll get out there and celebrate the day. So we hope to see everyone there. Okay, well, thanks everyone. We'll stop the recording, and if you need anything else, feel free to get a hold of us.
All right. Well, thank you guys.